The heavy silence of the command deck was broken only by the distant hum of the ship's engines. Captain Sarah Drake stood at the viewport, her gaze fixed on the dark expanse of space before her. Beyond the stars lay the planet Grias, a world on the brink of disaster, and the heart of humanity's latest crisis. The Galactic Union had issued a decree. Grias was to be evacuated, its resources stripped, and its people relocated. But Sarah knew the truth. This wasn't about relocation, it was about annihilation. "Captain, we've received the latest transmission from the surface," Lieutenant Marcus Hale reported, his voice low and steady. He handed her a data pad, his brow furrowed in concern. "The Union's forces are already beginning their assault." Sarah scanned the report, her heart sinking as the details unfolded. The Union's fleet had arrived in full force, their ships descending upon Grias like vultures. They were merciless, targeting key cities and infrastructure, reducing the once thriving planet to rubble. The Grians, a peaceful race known for their unparalleled technological advancements, had tried to negotiate, but the Union had refused to listen. "We can't just stand by and watch," Marcus said, his voice tinged with anger. "They're wiping them out, Sarah." "And for what?" "Because the Grians refuse to hand over their technology?" Sarah's jaw tightened as she looked up from the data pad, her green eyes burning with resolve. "This isn't just about technology, Marcus. The Union sees the Grians as a threat. Their advancements could challenge the Union's power, and they can't allow that." Marcus nodded, understanding dawning on him. "So they're making an example out of them. But we can't let that happen. The Grians are our allies, they helped us when no one else would." A heavy silence fell between them as they considered their options. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but Sarah knew that retreat was not an option. The fate of an entire species hung in the balance, and she wasn't about to abandon them to their doom. "Get the crew ready," Sarah ordered, her voice firm and unwavering. "We're going to Grias. If the Union wants a fight, we'll give them one they won't forget." Marcus saluted, a fierce determination in his eyes. "Yes, Captain. I'll have the crew prepped for battle." As Marcus turned to leave, Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for the battle ahead. The Union had underestimated humanity before, believing them to be weak, easily controlled. But Sarah knew better. Humanity had always thrived in the face of adversity, and this time would be no different. The Union might have their fleets and firepower, but they lacked the one thing that made humanity truly formidable: the unyielding will to fight for what was right. As the ship's engines roared to life, Sarah glanced once more at the planet below. Grias was more than just an ally. It was a symbol of hope, of what could be achieved when different species came together in unity. She couldn't let that symbol be destroyed. "We're coming, Grias," she whispered, her voice a quiet promise. "And we won't let you fall." The ship lurched forward, breaking through the stillness of space as it raced toward the planet. The battle for Grias had begun, and Sarah Drake was ready to lead her crew into the fray. The nebula's edge cut through the void, the distant stars streaking by as the ship hurtled toward Grias. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Drake's eyes remained fixed on the tactical display, her mind racing through possible strategies. The Union's blockade around the planet was formidable, a nearly impenetrable wall of warships. But Sarah wasn't one to shy away from impossible odds. "Status report," Sarah commanded, her voice carrying a weight that silenced the hum of background chatter. Lieutenant Marcus Hale moved swiftly to her side, his fingers dancing over the console. "Union fleet is holding position around Grias, Captain. They've deployed orbital bombardment platforms, heavy firepower. They're not just here to subdue, they're planning total destruction." Sarah's grip on the command console tightened. "And the Grians? Defensive measures are crumbling. They're not equipped for a prolonged assault like this. Civilian casualties are mounting. It's only a matter of time before the Union breaks through completely." Sarah nodded, her jaw set in grim determination. The Grians had always been more scientists than soldiers. Their greatest weapons were knowledge and innovation, not brute force. But even they couldn't withstand the Union's relentless onslaught alone. "Prepare to engage," she ordered, her voice resolute. We need to break that blockade and give the Grethans a fighting chance. Marcus hesitated, his brow furrowed. Captain, with respect, this is suicide. We're one ship against an entire fleet. If we're going to help the Grethans, we need a plan that doesn't end with us as space debris. Sarah's lips curved into a thin, determined smile. We're not going in guns blazing, Marcus. The Union expects us to fight their way. But we're going to play this our way, hit them where it hurts the most. She turned to the holographic display, bringing up a schematic of the Union's formation. Her eyes scanned the array of ships, pinpointing the weakest link in the chain. There, she said, tapping a section of the display. Their command ship. It's the linchpin holding the fleet together. Take it out, and we throw them into chaos. Marcus's eyes widened as he grasped the plan. A surgical strike. Take out their leadership, and the fleet loses coordination. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. They're expecting a frontal assault, not a targeted strike. We hit fast, hit hard, and get out before they can regroup. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the crew absorbed the plan. This wasn't just a battle. It was a high-stakes gamble with the fate of an entire planet on the line. But there was no room for doubt. They all knew what was at stake. Prepare the ship for combat, Sarah commanded. And patch me through to the Grethan defense network. They need to know we're coming. As the crew sprang into action, Sarah took a deep breath, steadying herself. The Nebula's Edge was a nimble ship, built for speed and precision, but it would take every ounce of skill and luck to pull off this maneuver. Yet, there was no other option. The Union had to be stopped, and if that meant putting everything on the line, so be it. Captain, Marcus said quietly, his voice cutting through the tension. We're with you. All the way. Sarah met his gaze, feeling the weight of his words. The responsibility, the trust, this was why she had fought so hard to keep this crew together. They were more than just soldiers, they were her family. Let's show them what humans are made of, she replied, her voice steady with resolve. The ship accelerated, the stars blurring into streaks of light as they closed in on Grias. The moment of truth was at hand, and Sarah knew there was no turning back. They were humanity's last hope, and they would not fail. The Nebula's Edge streaked through the blackness, a silent predator in the vastness of space. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Drake's eyes never wavered from the tactical display. The Union's command ship loomed ahead, its massive silhouette outlined by the distant glow of Grias. This was the moment they had prepared for, their one shot at turning the tide. Approaching target, Lieutenant Marcus Hale reported, his voice tight with focus. The tension on the bridge was palpable, every crew member poised at their stations, ready for the coming storm. Hold steady, Sarah ordered, her voice calm despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Wait for my signal. The Nebula's Edge crept closer, slipping past the outer perimeter of the Union's fleet. The enemy ships, confident in their overwhelming numbers, hadn't detected the lone vessel approaching their heart. It was a testament to Sarah's skill and the crew's precision. Target locked, Marcus confirmed, his fingers hovering over the weapon's control. The command ship's shields were formidable, but the Nebula's Edge was equipped with the latest in Earth's military technology, enough to punch through even the toughest defenses, if they struck at just the right moment. Sarah's eyes flicked to the timer on her console. Every second counted. They were deep in enemy territory, surrounded by ships that could obliterate them if they were detected too soon. But the longer they waited, the better their chances of catching the Union off guard. Steady, steady, Sarah murmured, her fingers tapping a rhythm on the console. The command ship's weak point was its power core, buried deep within its armored hull. A direct hit there would disable the ship's systems, leaving the fleet in disarray. Now! She ordered, her voice cutting through the silence. Marcus's hands moved in a blur, firing the ship's primary weapon, a concentrated energy beam that lanced out, striking the command ship dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. The beam seemed to hang in space, a line of pure destruction connecting the two vessels. Then the command ship erupted in a blinding explosion, debris scattering into the void. The nebula's edge was already moving, darting away from the blast zone as the Union fleet scrambled to respond. "Direct hit!" Marcus shouted, a rare note of triumph in his voice. "Their command ship is down!" But Sarah didn't relax. This was only the beginning. "Status on the fleet?" she asked, her eyes scanning the tactical display. "They're in disarray," Marcus replied, his excitement tempered by the gravity of the situation. "Their coordination is shot. They're trying to regroup, but it's chaos out there." "Good," Sarah said, a fierce smile tugging at her lips. "Let's make sure it stays that way." She opened a channel to the Grias Defense Network. "Grias Command, this is Captain Sarah Drake of the Nebula's Edge. We've taken out the Union's command ship. Your window to strike is now. Hit them hard and fast, don't give them a chance to recover." A crackling voice responded, filled with both relief and determination. "Thank you, Captain. We won't waste this opportunity." The battle was far from over, but they had dealt a critical blow to the Union's forces. Now, it was up to the Grians to seize the moment and drive the invaders from their world. Sarah watched the display as the Grian ships surged forward, exploiting the confusion among the Union ranks. "Let's assist where we can," Sarah ordered, her voice resolute. "Target any Union ships trying to regroup. We need to keep them off balance." The Nebula's edge darted through the battlefield, a relentless force striking at the heart of the Union's fleet. Sarah's mind was focused, her every decision calculated to maximize the damage they could inflict. But even as they pressed their advantage, Sarah knew they were not out of danger yet. The Union was a formidable enemy, and they would not take this defeat lightly. The real challenge was still to come, and she would need every ounce of her crew's skill and resolve to see them through. "Stay sharp," she cautioned, her voice carrying across the bridge. "This fight is far from over." As the Nebula's edge cut through the chaos, Sarah Drake felt the weight of the battle pressing down on her. They had struck a blow for humanity, for the Grians, and for every species that had suffered under the Union's tyranny. But victory was not yet in their grasp. The Nebula's edge danced through the battlefield, weaving between the hulking forms of Union warships. Captain Sarah Drake gripped the command console, her eyes flicking between the tactical display and the swirling chaos outside the viewport. The initial shockwave of their strike had given the Grians a fighting chance, but the Union was rallying, their ships forming up into tighter formations. The battle was turning into a war of attrition, and Sarah knew time was against them. "Union reinforcements incoming," Lieutenant Marcus Hale reported, his voice edged with urgency. "They're closing in fast, 3 more battlecruisers, plus a swarm of fighters." Sarah's jaw tightened. "We need to keep them from regrouping with the main fleet. If they consolidate their forces, this is over." The Nebula's edge surged forward, engines straining as the ship angled to intercept the reinforcements. The display flickered with the positions of enemy ships, the odds stacked heavily against them. But there was no hesitation in Sarah's commands, only a steely resolve. "Target the lead battlecruiser," she ordered. "Hit it with everything we've got, disrupt their formation." Marcus's hands flew over the controls, launching a volley of missiles. The ship shuddered as the weapons tore through space, homing in on the massive battlecruiser at the head of the Union's reinforcements. The impact was instantaneous, a blossom of fire erupting along the battlecruiser's hull. The formation wavered, ships breaking off to avoid the wreckage. "Direct hit," Marcus confirmed, a hint of triumph in his voice. But the celebration was short-lived. The remaining battlecruisers adjusted their course, their weapons locking onto the Nebula's edge with deadly precision. Alarms blared across the bridge as the ship's shields absorbed the first wave of incoming fire. "Shields at 60%, an officer called out, his voice strained. "Evasive maneuvers," Sarah barked, her mind racing. They couldn't take another direct hit like that. The ship's sleek design gave them speed, but against the overwhelming firepower of the Union, they were dangerously outmatched. The Nebula's edge rolled, narrowly avoiding another barrage. The tension on the bridge was palpable, every crew member working in unison, their movements precise, almost instinctual. They had been through countless battles together, and it was this bond, this unspoken understanding, that kept them alive. "Captain, we can't hold this position much longer," Marcus warned, his voice tight. "They're coordinating their fire, we need to break off." Sarah's mind raced. The Griethans were holding their ground, but they couldn't win this battle alone. They needed more time, and the only way to buy it was to take out those battlecruisers. "Prepare for a high-speed pass," she ordered, her voice firm. "We'll draw their fire and hit them where it hurts." The Nebula's edge accelerated, engines roaring as the ship darted toward the enemy formation. The battlecruisers unleashed a torrent of fire, but the Nebula's edge was too fast, slipping through their defenses. The ship's weapons lit up, focusing on the exposed engines of the nearest cruiser. "Fire!" Sarah commanded, and the bridge was filled with the deafening roar of the ship's cannons. The battlecruiser's engines exploded in a shower of sparks and twisted metal, sending the massive ship spinning out of control. But even as the second battlecruiser began to crumble, Sarah knew the cost. The Nebula's edge had taken heavy damage, its shields flickering, hull integrity compromised. They were pushing the ship to its limits, and the Union wasn't backing down. "Captain, we're getting torn apart out here," Marcus said, urgency lacing his words. "We need to fall back." "No," Sarah cut him off, her voice cold with determination. "We hold the line. We give the Griethans every second we can." The battle raged on, each moment a desperate struggle to survive. The Union ships pressed their advantage, but the Nebula's edge fought with a ferocity that belied its small size. Sarah's commands were sharp, precise, each one a calculated risk in the deadly dance of combat. But as the ship shuddered under the relentless assault, Sarah knew they were running out of time. The Union was closing in, and there was only one way to turn the tide. "Marcus," she said, her voice low but resolute, "prepare the reactor for an overload. If we're going down, we're taking them with us." Marcus's eyes widened, but he nodded, understanding the gravity of the order. "Aye, Captain." As the ship's systems hummed with the dangerous buildup of energy, Sarah took one last look at the tactical display. They had given everything, fought with everything they had. Now, it was time to make their final stand. "On my mark," she said, her voice steady. "We detonate." The bridge was silent, every crew member focused, ready. The seconds ticked by, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife.